Happy Saturday, everybody. I know you guys are not used to seeing me. I'm Sonja, your host of Prim and Proper Sports, and this is a very special edition of Prim and Proper Sports. So, happy Saturday, everybody. Happy AFC NFC Championship Eve. I hope you all are doing well. Looks like I have a special guest. Give me one second. I will be introducing him shortly. He just messaged me and said he's on air. Hang on. Give me one second, guys. All right. So anyway, I have a special guest today. You guys will recognize him from an earlier show that I had actually a couple of years ago. And the other thing is this person is very well known because they are part of the Dan Patrick Morning Show. It's none other than Todd Fritz, y'all. He's a diehard Broncos fan, and I'm super honored to have him on with me this afternoon. I know that my production team, B Strella, thank you so much, Pink Fan Fur, for all the likes, love, shares, and the production behind the scenes. And here in just a moment, B will bring Todd up. So I hope everyone enjoys the show. This will be an abbreviated show as we get ready for the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship on tomorrow. So without further ado, let me bring up Todd Fritz. Okay, let me see. Hang on, guys. We don't see you. Let me see. We don't see you. Hang on one second, guys. He's supposed to be backstage. We don't see you. B, can you put in the chat whether or not we actually see Fritz yet? Because he's messaging saying, are we seeing him and hearing him okay? Hi, guys. Hi, B. Harthy. And thank you, Novo. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for joining on today. Give me one second. This is what we have guests that come in. Let me make sure. Let me see. I'm going to resend you the link. Resending link. Let's make sure we don't have the wrong one, guys. Give me one second here. Copy. Y'all give me one second. I am so sorry. I literally thought my person was going to be on live. He's going to be on in just a second, y'all. He's having some technical issues here. I don't know what happened. I hate when I be on live and stuff like this happens. This is so wild. Let's see. But no worries. We'll get him up here shortly. All right. I don't know where he's on. Oh, I guess he did not enter the room. You got to enter the actual show. All right, guys. He's backstage, but he just did not realize that he needed to come on stage. So sorry, guys, for that. What's up, guys? Hey, everybody. So I'm here waiting on Todd Fritz. He's backstage, but he's not in the show yet, but he will be here momentarily for the Dan Patrick show. Give me one second, guys. He's messaging me. Oh. There he is. All right, guys. So without further ado, I finally got my guest on. Thank you so much, B. You can bring him up. Actually, I'm going to add him. None other than my friend Fritzy.
First of all, I have to apologize because I thought I was scrolled all the way down when I connected and the enter studio part was hidden from my view of my laptop. So that was an E on me.
It is so okay. Listen, it's so good to see you on today. Thank you so much for joining me on such an eventful weekend with the weather, with the AFC Championship game coming up tomorrow for your Broncos.
Very pumped.
Absolutely. Let me introduce you to some of my audience. for the first time because it's been a little bit since you and I had an opportunity to talk. So I'm very appreciative that you had time to squeeze me in on today. So, of course, everyone knows this is Fritzy from the DP Show. Fritzy, we know you also love the Broncos. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how to find you on all the socials.
I'm at Brooklyn Fritzy for basically all my social media, and I've been with the Dan Patrick Show for almost 25 years now. Graduated at NYU back in 1991 with journalism and mass communications as a degree. Started at WFAN in New York, moved to LA for a sports radio job there. Worked at ESPN for 14 years on various radio and TV shows, and here we are chatting. Started rooting for the Broncos when I was a little kid in 1977 when they were the Orange Crush against the Doomsday Defense Dallas Cowboys, who beat us in the Super Bowl 12, which I'll have to get over at some point. And now all these amazing comeback victories, and then unfortunately Bo Nix goes down, but Stiddy, as they call him, coming in, and can he ride us through a mile high in the Patriots and take us to the Super Bowl? We won 10 years ago, pretty much almost to the day of taking down Cam Newton and the Panthers.
Oh,
and
you're hurting me, Fritzy.
I'm sorry. 10, I didn't mean to. 10 years later, it would be pretty wild after Super Bowl 50 to get after it in Super Bowl 60. And we'll see what happens. But I'm very excited about both games. Obviously, the Bronco game and the Rams and Seahawks should be fun, too.
Absolutely. First of all, congratulations to your Broncos making it under the leadership of Sean Payton in 3 years. And the second year for Bo Nix, unfortunately, went down with that ankle injury. And so it's a lot, going on behind the scenes, but we're very excited about your background. Of course, you have a huge resume there, like of all types of things. 25 years, Fritzy. You had to start when you were like 5 years old. You look amazing.
That's very kind. I started as an intern at WFAN Sports Radio New York when I was a junior at NYU at age 20. So I guess, 35, 36 years in the business and radio in LA and New York and ESPN in the headquarters in Bristol, the mothership, as we like to call them, and got a chance to work on Up Close, Talk To, Unscripted, Sports Center, ESPN News shows, and obviously Dan Patrick Show on what was ESPN Radio, and then we were with DirecTV and AT&T, and now we're kind of doing our own thing with Fox Sports Radio and iHeart, and it's been a nice run. It's very exciting, and I'm joining you from a hotel room near the studio because I'm about an hour away from where I work, and with this big snowstorm coming, it's smart to, I guess, get closer to here so we can all safely be in studio Monday to recap these games.
Right. And so, like I said, very appreciative, especially with all the moving parts in a lot of our country. I'm here in Atlanta, and we are bracing as well for an ice storm, not really snow, but a lot of ice. And, Atlanta and the South, we're going to shut down when that stuff comes. So, I
was supposed to spend the weekend in North Carolina to visit my daughter who's studying at Wake Forest. We were going to go to the Wake Forest Duke game, and we had all kinds of plans. And then once they said there was a big snowstorm coming, we were like, I guess we'll have to take a rain check. And I just got to the hotel here a little while ago. I'm all set up and put all my stuff away, started looking into some guests for next week. And I'm like, I want to talk to Sonja because we got to chat a little bit before they kick off these big title games tomorrow afternoon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Fritzy. That means a lot to me that you would actually prioritize me, especially being moved around like that. And I did not realize your daughter was in the great state of North Carolina. I know they postponed the Duke and Carolina game a little bit earlier. And of course, I am Panthers all day, and Duke is my team. So you were right down the road from all my family there by going to Wake Forest. But safety is paramount, and especially with you having to go to a hotel. Thank you for squeezing me in because that's definitely a shift. All right. So let's talk a little bit about this game. Of course, the biggest story going into tomorrow's game, unfortunately, is the loss of you guys' rookie. And he's still a rookie, but it's his second year. Bo Nix suffered that fractured ankle in the final minutes of the overtime game against the Buffalo Bills. And Fritzy, I honestly am always like, but for that overtime, like most of us didn't even notice that injury.
I wasn't aware of it either. It's funny that you mentioned that. I was watching the game with my wife, and I thought I saw some clip on social media with Sean Payton talking to the press, and I was praying, for lack of a better word, that it was some kind of AI thing. You see all these AI things now where it looks like coaches and players are saying all kinds of things and it's not them, and they do stuff with their lips and the audio, which is wild. I think people should get sued for some of that stuff, especially when they're using questionable language and some of the liberties they take. But he's talking to the press, Stiddy's playing, and Bo Nix fractured his ankle and he's not playing, his season's over. And I'm like, this better be a joke. And then once I saw some of the respected reporters and journalists online saying that was the truth. And all I can, all we can hope for now is, from what I'm hearing, Jared Stidham's a really good backup quarterback. Sean Payton and the team thinks the world of him. That in the few games he's played over the years, he did very well, and he seems very confident. And Sean Payton sounds like he's not going to change the game plan very much. And I don't know if they're going to be conservative early and try to run the ball a little before they haven't throwing the ball all over the place. But at Mile High, with their past against the Patriots in the playoff games and all that Mile High magic, and Stidham being a lot better than the average backup quarterback, and that defense, I'm holding out hope that we can get one more at home and head to Santa Clara.
Absolutely. And shout out to my brother Marcus, who just joined us. He said, "Go Pats." He's a big Patriots fan.
Okay.
He's a Patriots fan for a long time. Thanks for supporting as always, bro. And thank you and welcome for everyone. We see the viewership going up. For all of you who are not making comments, we just appreciate you watching on this day. This is, of course, Fritzy from the DP show, Todd Fritz, big Broncos fan and just exclusive extraordinaire TV personality here. You mentioned the AI thing. I'm gonna be honest, Fritzy. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, okay, people are playing too much. This game literally just in it. Those guys are not even all the way in the locker room. There's no way this is true.
Some angry Bills fans, Bills Mafia, trying to be cute and try to do something like that, and break my heart. And I'm very upset, and I don't want to say concerned because I think Stiddy can do a good. I'm calling him Stiddy like I know him, but they don't call him that. But I think he's going to do well, and I think they're going to be all right. Obviously, we'd love to have Bo playing. But from what everyone's saying, all you can do is take what the players are saying and listen to these different sound bites and the press conferences that they're rallying behind him and they feel like he can get it done. I don't know if he needs to be a game manager, as they like to say, and if it's the kind of thing, just don't mess it up and we'll be fine. And you got Sutton and all these great, they got some good running backs, even though Dobbins can't come back. They got Harvey and everybody, strong receivers, defense with the sacks and that secondary and Surtain and all that. And they're home with that Mile High crowd. That's a lot for the Patriots to overcome. And both finished 14-3. Denver had the tiebreaker. That's why they got the 1 seed. But New England's a formidable opponent, and it's going to be tough. And we'll see what happens. But I feel like when all is said and done, especially with Denver and all these close games and all these ways they've pulled out games throughout the year, if it happens to be close, which most expect, that Denver will find a way to have at least one more point when it says 0-0-0 at the end of the fourth quarter.
It's funny you brought that up, the Denver defense being in Mile High and the 10-year anniversary since we saw the Broncos this high in the playoff series and advance into Super Bowl 50, which I personally have nostalgia about because my team was on the opposite side of the field. Faith in you all. It was so funny because people were like, hey, they should sign Cam Newton as their backup. And this time he could dive on the ball and actually win. Forget that, so it's funny, but you mentioned a good point there. Of course, the secondary is going to be crucial in this game, and Denver is known as a defensive team. They've always been kind of known as a defensive team off and on. Bo Nix was just a jewel that was added to the offense there, and Sean Payton had been looking for that piece that was missing for the offense for the last couple of seasons. Didn't really have it in Russ for sure, and then Bo came in ready to go. I actually had Bo on my fantasy last year, and several games he got me over 50 points in a game. So he was extremely well. I was like, this kid is awesome. And so now, the maturation is there, the clicking is there. They've definitely found their QB as he recuperates. Jarrett Stidham hadn't taken any snaps though, Fritzy, in 3 seasons.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot about how 790 days or whatever, and the few games he did play, he was just kind of taking a knee or just came in for a couple seconds. So that's a kind of a big deal. But again, the way they say his personality is and the way he studies and prepares, and that he's definitely above average, and not necessarily that he would start for a whole bunch of teams in the NFL right now, but you're hearing stuff like that. And a lot of teams were interested in having him on their roster, and Denver paid good money to keep him.
They definitely did. And thank you so much to Mike Patton for joining us. He's another podcaster, has his own show there. He said Denver has to win this game with defense and the run game along with Stidham. And hello to the best bro, B1. Thank you everyone for coming on and saying hi. I mean, Fritzy, when people that are not Broncos fans are basically recognizing that defense and knowing that run game is going to be the difference maker. And then, of course, you got to have some of those throws. We think we got to depend on Stidham to some degree. I actually said it last night on my podcast with Friday with the Fellas. that he does have to be a game manager, so to speak, not necessarily time wise, but protecting that ball, no turnovers. We saw exactly what the defense did to Josh Allen last week. He was, spotless in the postseason with turnovers, and as a result, he actually had five. A couple of those, maybe three, I believe, ended up in scores in the last matchup. So your defense is solid.
And when they look at Stidham, and I don't want to say it's disrespect because I haven't seen enough of Stidham to know. I'm just going on hearsay what players and coaches are saying. But when you hear the word game manager or just don't mess it up, we got this as long as you don't
Yeah.
screw it up and throw a bunch of picks or fumble the ball. I would like to think he's better than that, and that Sean Payton's not going to just play super conservative. They got to establish the running game, and we need the Zach Allens and the Nick Bonitos and Coopers. We need them to get all over Drake May, and then Drake May needs to see just a flood of orange in his face as much as possible with sacks and hurries and poking that ball out of his hand, a blindside hit, whatever they need to do. And you got Surtain and Riley Moss and that whole group back there. I am under the assumption that they're not going to, do anything too different than what they normally do if they have that kind of confidence in him. I don't like when they throw these little screen passes, these little sideway passes, even with Bo Nix. You got to go vertical. You got to go downfield. I'm no expert, but those never work. Laterals or screen passes where after you get the ball, you first have to run 3-4 yards just to get back to the line of scrimmage. You're going in the wrong
losing
direction.
yard. Right.
Just go forward and mix up the run and pass. Blitz, getting Drake May's face. The secondary has to do what they have to do. That vaulted orange crush sack defense. You got to get to the quarterback, and hopefully McLaughlin, Batty, and the running game and Harvey, they can break some runs. And if they can establish the run game, then Stidham can throw in some passes here and there. I don't expect them to go too far downfield. They don't even really do that with Bo Nix. That's not their game. Once in a while, they take a long shot towards the end zone to throw it 40, 50 yards, but their passing game seems to be, 10, 15, 20, 25 yards. They don't really look for the home run very often. So, again, if you want to use the game manager word or the don't mess it up thing, if he, just does enough to do his thing and get them first downs and get them closer to sevens and not threes and not be settling for field goals against a team like New England, you got to get touchdowns, not field goals. And don't wait till the fourth quarter. It's so frustrating. I've watched every play of every game, how their offense struggles and they're punting and 3 and out, and finally, in the middle of late fourth quarter, then they first wake up and start scoring a bunch of points in the last few minutes. It's the AFC title game. If you deserve to be in the Super Bowl, you got to make a statement early. Don't expect the defense to get all the points, and be aggressive on first and second down. It can't be run, incomplete punt, which they used to do with Russell Wilson. Go for it early. Give Stidham a chance to win the game for you, and don't be too conservative. Don't throw sideways, horizontal screen passes. Just, if you want to get cute once in a while with a little flea flicker or, have them roll out, there's different things you can do. But you can't be waiting until the fourth quarter to start scoring points. And do not settle for field goals. You get in the red zone, you've got to make sure those are touchdowns.
Yeah, got to keep the score well ahead of high-powered offense on the other side. How kismet is it that Jarrett Stidham, who was drafted by the Patriots,
I love that. I love the irony of that.
Facing the Patriots now in the biggest game of his career here against them for the Super Bowl berth. I mean,
I'm sure he's got a little chip on his shoulder, and even if there was no New England connection, just the fact that what an incredible opportunity. Not just financially if he does something big and gets them to the Super Bowl and does something in that game, but he's on the big stage now. You're hearing all these things that he's actually an above average quarterback and he's could even start for a few teams. And obviously I like hearing that. It makes me feel a little better, not so nervous that it's not Bo Nix starting. But this guy, all of a sudden, a backup quarterback gets a chance to, in front of his home mile-high crowd, one win away from going to the Super Bowl, just like, Hostetler and Nick Foles, and you hear some of these other stories about someone had to step up and be big at, in a playoff game or a Super Bowl. So I'm excited. I'm nervous too. I'm more excited than nervous. So as long as I can keep the excitement about tomorrow more than the anxiety about it, that's how I'm looking at the game. I expect big things from the Broncos. I expect them to win. I know they were 5.5 point underdogs. Now it's like 4.5. They were 1.5 point favorites when Bo Nix was supposed to be quartering. And then once he got hurt, they went from 1.5 point favorites. It swung like 6 points in the other direction. But I'm not a betting person. I don't care about the point spreads. I kind of like that they're underdogs. Sometimes it's more fun rooting for a team that everyone's already written New England into the Super Bowl. They have no chance with a backup quarterback without Bo Nix. It's going to go badly. And I don't see that. I hope I'm right. And I see Denver playing great on both sides of the ball, hopefully special teams. And I think Denver's the better team. And I think in Denver, that could be that little edge they need with that sea of orange of crowd Bronco maniacs, and the Mile High Magic will hopefully be there tomorrow.
Absolutely. And shout out to Pink Fan First. She came on and she says, Denver, you have one chance. It's funny you mentioned that, Fritzy, because I was going to bring that up. The fact that, he is a rookie and people have, well, he's a real rookie because we haven't seen him, Stidham in quite a while. Like you said, 700 and some days. People have kind of like just already skipped over it. Before Bo Nix's injury, everybody was like, okay, this is going to be, kind of rookie versus rookie. Drake May, they both are here at the same time. This is awesome to see these young quarterbacks go at it, go toe to toe, see who the better quarterback is. But, the quarterback is only strong as their team is. So if your team around you, your pieces are not around you, it's a team effort all around. So that's why I know that you stand confident when you say, Bo, of course, we love him. We hope that he, progresses well, but we have someone in play that can definitely still get this team where they need to be. And you're right. Being an underdog is definitely the way you want to go because hey, my Panthers, every time we were underdogs, we won, and people were just shocked, like, how do they keep doing it? But you came down to one of these good points when you said a lot of these games come down to one score. We've seen that throughout this entire playoff series.
The Broncos and the Bears this year. It's amazing how many. I've never seen anything like that. Those teams in particular, where every game's a nail biter and it goes down to the very end. Even Denver, if you remember, week 2 and week 3, the Broncos beat the Colts in Indy. They called a leverage call. They let them re-kick a 50-yard field goal, became a 35-yard. We won the game, and then the Colts stole it from us because they called the leverage penalty. The very next week, we lose in overtime. Also, a walk-off field goal by the Chargers. So we were 1-2. We end up 14-3. Obviously, the Jaguar game, we lost by 14 in Denver. Other than that, lost by 2 touchdowns to the Jaguars. We lost 2 games on last-second field goals. Everything else was a win. We have a strong offensive line, a great defense, and granted, Bo Nix, you lose your starting quarterback for a conference title game. That is a big deal. But I think we should show Jarrett Stidham some more respect. And just because someone's been out for a period of time doesn't mean they can't step up to the challenge. And, I'm sure he's been practicing and he knows the game plan and everything. And, taking a hit, concerns me a little bit if you haven't really, been out there. Not so much that he can't throw the ball accurately, but if you haven't been playing for 700-800 days and when you do play, you're kind of taking a knee or it's garbage time, he's got to be, hopefully he's strong enough to take a hit and stay in the pocket and not get, his legs start getting all jittery and he doesn't start running prematurely if the pocket breaks down. But I feel Denver's got too much talent, and as long as he has a decent game and above average game, and again we use the game manager word, and does what he needs to do and follows Sean Payton's lead, and the rest of the guys step up. I don't like to call my shots or I don't want to jinx my team, but I picture and I believe the Broncos should be in Super Bowl 60.
Yeah, Marcus brings up a good point. You all having the home advantage with that altitude by itself is a game changer. And they're actually saying that Denver's going to be getting some of the same weather conditions that a lot of the other people are in the country. And so this is, of course, New England is no stranger to winter weather, but maybe the altitude, being bi-coastal, that sometimes can definitely play a factor. When you look back just for a moment to have revisionist history here with me, Fritzy, I'm sitting down, guys, with Dan Patrick's own Todd Fritzy, one of the Danettes. You guys could catch him on all of DP shows. He's been there 25 years, guys. And I personally remember him for about 12 years ago. So had no idea it was 25, Fritzy. Gosh, congratulations to you. When you think back about 10 years, the last time the Broncos were here and they advanced to the Super Bowl, and you think about some of the players that you guys had, Von Miller, it stands out in my mind the most as the player that he was on that roster. Are there any similarities with this roster you all have now as far as the talent going into this game?
I think there is. We called them the no-fly, the no-fly zone with the Broncos secondary, and we have a talented secondary. Denver, we got a ferocious defense. We led the league, I guess, in sacks. That's when you think Broncos, you think of all the sacks that they've had this year. You have a quarterback, even when it was Bo Nix. But now that it's Jarrett Stidham, Manning, was kind of banged up. He had the neck situation where Brock Osweiler had to step in for a while, and they had to rely on the defense to win the game. I'm hoping it'll be well balanced tomorrow, and it's not all about the defense having to save the day tomorrow. That Stidham and the Bronco offense and Cortland Sutton and that whole group will be able to do their thing and put up plenty of points, and the defense can shut down the Patriots. But there are there's absolutely similarities to the Super Bowl 50 team now more than ever with a backup quarterback, where the defense is going to be so important. And I still think they're going to do well offensively as well. But it is comforting, and hopefully it's comforting to Stidham and Sean Payton and Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator, that we got a great team in place. We can cause turnovers, we can get points defensively, whether it's pick sixes, fumbles, interceptions. Putting our new quarterback for this game, and hopefully in one more game, Stiddy in a good position to do well. And I can't emphasize enough, having watched every play of every game this year. Don't wait to the fourth quarter for the offense to wake up. And we can't have threes, it's sevens. And the way at least I experienced Bronco fandom, and a lot of teams, I'm sure a lot of fans feel that way. When you get that close to the end zone, it's almost like a -4 instead of a +3. Instead, I can't get excited about the field goal. I just, if it's late in the game and it puts you up by 2 or 3 scores, that's something else. But through the course of the game, if you're settling for threes instead of sevens because the red zone offense didn't get in there, it sometimes feels like it's a -4 and not a +3 because you didn't get 7.
Yeah, it can come back and bite you. So, of course, you got to know your opponent, Fritzy. You got to know your opponent. As we get ready to kind of wrap up here, we really appreciate your time today. I want to get some thoughts. Mike Vrabel, the new coach of the Patriots, what he's done coming from Tennessee, first year, definitely, in my opinion, coach of the year accolade is coming. Absolutely, 180 for real, if it was ever defined. To know that he's at the helm of this team, leading the New England Patriots, who themselves haven't been there in a few years, not as long as the Broncos. I think it was 2018 when they were last there. They are itching to go back as well. And you did mention, you guys lost to the Jaguars earlier on, who have since been eliminated from playoff contentions. What would your thoughts be, other than him personally, turning your team around, as far as it goes for facing your Broncos? Sean Payton is a veteran in this, of course, been there a little bit longer, coming from the New Orleans Saints. He's 3 years in. He's brought Denver all the way up behind Bo Nix's talent there. And to know right across the field, that's why you guys were both number 1 and number 2. What are your thoughts on the knowing your opponent aspect of the Patriots?
I think that's very important. It's another great point, Sonja, that you make. I have the utmost respect for Mike Vrabel to turn a team down from just a couple of years ago and to get them to 14-3. And except for a tiebreaker, they could have easily been the 1 seed. Denver and New England had the same 14-3 record. And to see how fast he's turned that team around, I don't expect Vrabel to outcoach Sean Payton, but I hold Mike Vrabel and his as a player and now as a coach in extremely high regard. And it's going to be the cat and mouse game or the chess match between those two. The veteran who's already won a Super Bowl with the Saints and is on the precipice of trying to get to a Super Bowl and win a second one with a different team. Sean obviously is held in very high regard, but it would be a mistake for anyone to think that because it's Sean Payton against Mike Vrabel, that's going to somehow make a big difference in who wins the game. Obviously, it's going to be on the field. We had this little curveball thrown at us with losing our starting quarterback. But if you look at the rosters, and from what I've seen, I didn't watch as much of New England, obviously, as Denver. But on paper, and the fact, if all things are fairly even, and it's supposed to be a tight game, the fact that Denver's defense and that pass rush and Mile High Stadium with the home field advantage, I just have to believe somehow, some way, if it's tight down the stretch, that orange crowd and that white horse up at the top of the stadium is going to will them to the Super Bowl, and they're going to win this one home game, even with Jarrett Stidham and not Bo Nix, and go to Santa Clara and play either the Rams or the Seahawks, and we'll see how it plays out. But I'm very excited. I'm trying to be at least 70-30 excited to, oh my God, what's going to happen once we see Jarrett under center and what is he going to do, and can the rest of the team and the defense do more than enough and take it to even a higher level, especially the defense, to make sure it doesn't get messy and the Broncos don't all of a sudden in the fourth quarter wake up down several points going, oh my God, I think we better start playing offense. There's 6 minutes left in the game. Like, do it from play one and just mix it up and be aggressive. Don't be afraid to let Stidham throw the ball. I don't want to see 1 yard and 2 yard runs early and then punting because they're afraid to let Stidham throw the ball. So I'm very curious, not only just to watch the game and root for my team, but I'm very curious to see the play calling and what Denver's going to do on the offensive side with Stidham, how similar that'll be, as if, are they going to still go with a very similar game plan as if Nix was in there?
Absolutely. And Pink Fan First saying, are you headed to the game tomorrow? If so, have the best time. She's wishing you well. He's not going to be covering this year.
I'm in a hotel in Connecticut, but I'll be
comfortable.
I'll be screaming at the TV. I got my Terrell Davis jersey on. I got other Bronco hats and sweatshirts that, like a lunatic, I put out all over the bed and the floor. And I got an Elway jersey, by the couch there. I'm just like, I got as you can see, I got a bunch of snacks and stuff.
Yes. Listen, I was looking at your backdrop. I'm like, whoa, he is lit. He is literally lit, pre-lit.
I got a big Jersey Mike sub in the fridge, and I got sodas and pretzels and snacks, and it's going to start snowing here tomorrow. And unless I go out tonight to grab a pizza or something, once tomorrow comes, whatever I brought with me from home, that's what I'm going to have to, have for as far as the food and drink. I'm having my own little one-person party because of the snowstorm. Couldn't even bring the wife because she's a teacher and she may have school Monday. So she's home. So I'm just sitting by myself 5 minutes from the studio. I got my laptop out and talking to you, which is lovely. Got my all my Bronco stuff, hats, gloves, shirts, and going to be going crazy. I'm counting the hours between now and kickoff at 3 Eastern, 1 p.m. Mountain Time for an AFC title game that I've been waiting 10 years to see Denver back into.
Absolutely. And it's so cool that you have your own location party set up. Sorry your wife couldn't come. I know up north they don't close schools. If you guys lived in the South, she'd have Monday off for sure. Fritzy, always great to have you with us. Let me close out with some positive news for you that you can hang on to, but that you probably already know this stat. Historically, the Patriots are 0-4 in playoff games.
I'm glad you said that. You can't go. That's obviously the past, and there's different players, but it's always fun to look at little nuggets like that. Even look at the Brady Manning days. Brady hasn't done well in the playoffs in Denver, and that's Tom Brady. So the stats do show that when these two teams play in a playoff game and it's in Denver, it goes the orange way. But you could throw all the stats out the window. It's not Knicks, it's May against Stidham, and these are different players and. It's just, but it is. I like to look at those things too, but I can't get too caught up in that. Tomorrow's another day, and two great teams that both finished with the same exact regular season record that were fighting for that 1 seed. And what was supposed to be Knicks number 10 against May number 10 is now Stidham against May. And I think Denver has enough pieces, and playing in that stadium, I would be extremely disappointed. Not shocked because you're not dealing with your starting quarterback, and they are the underdogs, but. I'm going to allow myself to believe that I'm going to be in a very good mood this time tomorrow and drinking my Orange Crush in a celebratory fashion that they're heading to Super Bowl 60.
It's funny. I almost forgot about that little fact, and I almost brought a orange Sunkiss on set with me to talk with you because I like the beverage, but I just have a Mountain Dew instead.
Okay, I got one of those too. I got an Orange Crush. I'll make sure. Hang on one second. I'll show you what I got.
Oh, guys, you see Fritzy is already, he's set up definitely at Bronco all the way through it.
There we go.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Orange Crush. This is another one of my favorites. Not the healthiest soda in the world. I shouldn't be drinking any soda, but I'm only going to sip this for each time the Broncos make an exceptional play, not a decent play, not an average play. This is for tomorrow, and every time they do something what I consider big, like a sack or a touchdown or whatever, I will take a few sips of my Orange Crush, especially defensively, since that's where the Orange Crush comes from, the Orange Crush defense from the 70s. So I'm all set.
Pink says Orange Crush are the best. Make sure you message me tomorrow to let me know how many sips you took, or send me a picture, Frit.
I hope they'll be doing so well early in the game that the bottle will be gone by halftime. But that's asking a lot. But I'm excited, and I wish the games were today because I woke up this morning and I knew it was only Saturday. But there's no college football. You could watch some college hoops and things like that. But I am just itching for these games to tip off. And a long time ago, I was a producer for the LA Rams radio network, producing games.
Yeah, you were.
So it's just kind of funny that of the 4 teams, Broncos I've been rooting for since 1977, and I have a connection to the Rams when I used to work at a sports radio station in LA that carried the rights to a Rams game. So 2 of the 4 teams out of 32 to have a special connection with is pretty awesome.
Can you, before you hop off, since you plugged that in, who's your pick for the Rams game with Seattle tomorw? If you had to give us an overview.
A lot of my prediction for both games is because of my own. I'm going by heart, not necessarily by head. I think I had sent on social media when someone was asking about predictions, and I think on the show too. I went 27-23 Broncos and 29-27 Rams. That first score may be a little high with the defenses of New England and Denver, but I think they'll both be close. And I'm rooting for the Broncos and Rams. Broncos, obviously, because of my fandom from since I was a little kid. Rams, because my son actually got a job in recent months. He's actually working with the Rams. He moved out to California. And I used to work for the Ram station and produce some of their road games. So I would love to see the Broncos and the Rams, and then go from there. But will they both win? Will only one win? I'll be devastated if it's neither one of them. But we don't want to talk about that. So I'm hoping for Broncos and Rams, and hopefully there'll be two exciting games with Denver and LA coming up on top.
Thank you so much, Fritzy, for your time. This is so appreciated. Make sure you stay safe and warm. Enjoy your games on tomorrow, and good luck to your Broncos. And
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure speaking with you, and always love talking to you and being on your show. And it was very kind of you to include me on the eve of conference title Sunday. So I'm always happy to come on with you. And you know your sports and your smile and your creativity, and you ask great questions. And you have really good insight. And you do your homework, and I have a lot of respect for that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Fritzy. You always give the most kindest compliments. You always have a standing invitation here. We'll try to get you back on after the game, and the Super Bowl, so you can really brag to everybody.
I look forward to that.
Yes, but you definitely enjoy your time there. Stay warm, and best wishes to you and your family in this new year. Thank you so much for your time.
And you the same. You're a sweetheart, and thank you again for thinking of me and including me on your show.
You're welcome. Have a blessed one, Fritzy. See you soon. Okay. You too. Bye-bye. All right.
The God above made you a masterpiece. The vision is clearer, nearer. My God, to thee, learning to lean on his power. Your perspective can be sweet when circumstances are sour. I'm saying. I can see the vision clearer. Your identity is waiting, and you feel that hope is fading. Just hold on, it's gonna be alright. Trust in God, stand firm and hold tight. It's like that, yeah. It's like that, yeah. Meditation, I'm searching for a peace that's not present. I'm searching for feelings of solitude, emotions that's pleasant. Treasure, what do you deem important versus essential? We put our heart and soul in every line behind instrumentals. Coincidental? I think not. God's plan from the very beginning. Create the type of music that make people think twice before sinning. Pleading, Holy Father, please forgive our trespasses. Confusing things we want for things we need in life, our must-haves. Selfish, inconsiderate, narcissistic people. Christ died for all the world, so there is power in Jesus. Issues happen, disagreements, dissensions, distortions. This fallen flesh, we still forget sometimes that God is our portion. Forcing, others won't cut it, nor manipulation. One thing that's very destructive is self-righteous behavior. Satan, he's crafty, throwing darts like Bailey's.
All right, guys, that was Todd Fritz Fritzy from the Dan Patrick Show. Thank you so much again, Fritzy, for making time for me on this Broncos AFC Championship Eve against the New England Patriots. And you guys, it was always a pleasure to have him. Make sure you check him out on the Dan Patrick Show. They are everywhere, ESPN. You can see them on Fox Network, some of the other shows, as well as radio networks throughout. Apple Music, Spotify, and Sirius XM. And I also want to give a shout out to Bistrilla, the production behind the scenes, as well as Pink Fanfur. And you guys, thank you so much for your likes, loves, shares, and support of my niece Pearson as well. You guys have a blessed one. Check out the big sports show tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with Bistrilla, Jack Hirsch, James Martin, Keith Engel, and I may pop in. Y'all have a blessed one. Good night.